Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to the National Landcare Conference, Virtual Conference 2021. And I'm hosting the Environmental and Climate Change stream. And our first speaker for today is Simon Molesworth from Landcare Broken Hill. So I would like to encourage everyone to please, before Simon starts and during his presentation, to please put all the questions into the question box that you see on the screen. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Okay, Simon, would you like to start your presentation, please?
Yes, yes. Good morning, everyone.
Awesome.
It's a great pleasure to be here. And first, I'd like to show my respect to the Willakali people upon whose lands I am speaking from. I pay my respect to their traditional elders, past and present. What I'm going to be talking about today is a program engaging with the widest possible community in my region. This is a program aimed at not just the traditional Landcare member, not just the normal average environmentalist who is concerned about the environment. I'm talking about engaging with the whole of the Broken Hill community and its region. It's a story that has its foundations in history. In that Broken Hill is a mining town. It's a mining town in a semi-arid, some would say arid zone, which has been suffering the harshest effects of drought and increasingly very clear signs of climate change. But in the 1930s, when huge sand drifts were encroaching upon the edges of the city of Broken Hill as a consequence of earlier vegetative denudation, of trees being removed for hundreds of k's around for use in the mining industry and due to pastoralism. Broken Hill life, the livability of the city, was almost unbearable. Dust storms were a recurrent feature of living here, and in every sense, it was impossible. But Albert and Margaret Morris came up with an idea of regenerating the bush by basically setting aside a reserve around the whole city, whereby they could sort of hold back the worst of the environment, the worst of the dust moving into the city. And by growing trees and encouraging the city to green itself, they brought about a change which was in the vanguard of conservation efforts in this country. And it was called Greening the Hill. And that slide shows a book that's been written about it. And for 20 years, from the mid-30s, the mid-50s, it was an outstanding program. And it's been recognised as such because the National Trust classified in 1992 as being the first example of wonderful conservation effort of regeneration of an extremely harmed environment. And then National Heritage listing was achieved in 2015 when Broken Hill became the first city in the nation to be listed for its heritage values. And part of that heritage values was that conservation effort, the regen. So when in April 2019, we launched our initiative here, when Landcare Broken Hill launched its initiative, we called it Greening the Hill. And Greening the Hill, a community-wide initiative for all to renew and re-green your home, your city, and your life. And we called out to the citizens as a whole. We said, help make it happen. Together we can do it. Because at that stage, we were experiencing the worst drought in this region in Australian history. And in fact, we're still just at the 50% rainfall level for this time of the year, for this period in the year. So Greening the Hill was launched. And we've been rather successful. I don't mind being immodest for the purposes of this morning, because we achieved 2 very significant awards, 2 statewide awards, one for environmental communication and one for community spirit and inclusion. And this is what I want to describe today in this presentation, is how to engage with your community, how to engage with the people you would not normally speak to, how to ensure that they are thinking about the issues that concern us as Landcare members, so that you bring more troops to the ground to make sure we are more effective in dealing with the environmental issues that we have. Now, we launched Greening the Hill with 39 concurrent projects, and of course they included the traditional: growing plants in a plant nursery, planting trees in degraded areas, talking about the importance of reducing dust by getting more vegetation where it should be growing. Of course, we did all that. Incredibly important. But we decided we needed to talk about everything. We needed to talk about waste management. We needed to talk about greater utilization of renewable energy. We needed to talk about better ways of managing your water. We needed to talk about basically livability in the home, what you talk about around the kitchen table. And we needed to ensure we were engaging with as many people as possible who would not normally be listening. So as of this morning, I've now delivered 182 radio programs in mainstream media to the broadest community across Western New South Wales and South Australia to get our messages across. And I'm sure that the majority of people who are listening to me in my radio programs every week have never before started to think about the issues that we say can simply be addressed by embracing a holistic approach, community-wide approach to every mode of change by which we can ensure that our behaviour is not harmful to the environment. So this shot that I've got on the screen at the moment is one of our flagship projects, the flagship project. And it's going to be the Landcare Hub, the sustainability hub, where we will have on show every opportunity for the community and visitors to Broken Hills region to learn about what they can do, empowering them to understand what can be done. It's called the Landcare Hub. Now, let me say at the outset, this is a work in progress. We're not there yet. Of course, with many of our projects, we're way down the track, but the hub's not built, but the concept has been arrived at. The concept has been explored, and we are pursuing it. So here we have an ecotourism hub for the far west of New South Wales. It includes 120 metres of shade houses with a target production of between 200 and 250,000 seedlings a year. Currently, in our smaller base at the centre of a community in Broken Hill, we produce about 10,000 seedlings a year, but we want to get to 250,000 trees a year. We'll be growing them at the hub. We also have community garden beds. We currently have 20 at our current base. We're aiming for 60. And community gardens are wonderful and engaging at all ages. Young kids, primary kids, secondary students, tertiary students, to learn, hands-on learning, but to also engage with the elderly, to come and sit amongst those doing the gardening in the community garden. We're going to have all sorts of citizen science displays, and this base is going to be a place of education. Now, you probably won't be able to see on the slide how many elements there are, but you can see the shade houses here. You can see what we're going to come to as Pollinators Patch, a children's garden, so small toddlers can be placed to play while their parents volunteer or visit. This is an amphitheatre for 160 people to sit and be inspired. And I'm going to come to this wonderful thing, the meeting tree. And this is a rocket composter for dealing with the food waste. Now, in a small way, we're dealing with all these elements today in other parts around the city, but our target is to do it in a really big way. Now, these are the elements. I've talked about the propagation nursery. We're going to have a seed bank because our most frequent request for assistance is, have you got seed that you can provide for us to plant in our regeneration projects. So we're setting up the largest seed bank in Western New South Wales. In fact, it will be the only seed bank, because the nearest one to us is at Deniliquin. The community gardens I've spoken to, vocational training. We're going to offer tertiary training courses. And currently, we've already got workshops occurring every few months. We have public meetings every month where we have interesting speakers to inspire and teach. A community wellbeing facility, I'll come to that in a short while. Now, here we arrive. The back of in this schematic, the back of the building's gone, but you're going to have a viewing balcony that looks out in the community gardens, looks into the propagation areas, and it will have a cafe where we'll be selling the produce that we produce at the hub, display exhibitions, and an art and craft shop made out of traditional materials. And it's all to be the welcome for people to our hub. We do it in a small way already, but this is our massive flagship. Now, what I'm wanting you to think about while we're talking about this is a jigsaw. Keep in mind the concept of a jigsaw, because this jigsaw that I'm talking about, all the component parts fit together, and you pull it apart, it won't be so effective. Because the message I want to convey is that you need to approach environmental issues that confront us, the land care issues that confront us all, in the sense of a giant jigsaw. You need to approach it in multiple ways, multiple different parts. And if you combine them all together, we get to our end target. So let's focus on the ecotourism attraction component that we'll be having at the hub. It's all about sustainable living. It's all about practices, sustainable land management. It's all about demonstrating best practice in a diverse range of fields. So every mode of waterwise management will be there. We'll be talking about improving soil, how you improve the soil, how you mulch, the use of compost, how you use vermiculture. Now, the little worm can be a wonderful aid to what we're talking about. Renewable energy utilization, solar, wind, battery storage, waste management. We're going to be processing the city's clubs, pubs, food waste. And we're going to be showing hands-on experience of how to produce compost, how to produce mulch, and why it is so valuable. That's what we're doing at our Centre for Community now in a small way. At this place, we're going to be doing it in a big way. And we're engaging with the art community so that they too can display through environmental art what we're doing. Now, here we are. Here's the children's garden. Here is this pollinators patch. And here's the meeting tree, which will be our training place. So moving on, that was a scene there of our current nursery. We've only got 24 metres of shade houses at the moment, but we're doing pretty well. Now, the nursery is to be a feeder project to provide plants not only to all our Greening the Hill projects, that's the schools and the streets and the scouts and the Girl Guides and whoever they are, we're going to be supporting the community by the provision of trees. But it's more than that. It's to provide the feeder project for the mining companies, all the authorities and the like. Here's our seed bank concept. We've seen it. This is at Deniliquin, seed sorting equipment to the left, the storage cool room to the right. Now here we have our meeting tree. This is where we're meeting. Now, if you think in your mind of the cultural concept of the meeting tree, it's in every culture, from Africa through Asia to the old village tree in ye olde England. This is our stylistic tree based on the design of the showy daisy, which we have in the far west. And this tree will have solar panels on its upper boughs and LED screens of continual streaming instructional videos, or when we're doing a presentation, the actual presentation like I'm doing today from the underside of the tree. You can see the seats here. That's part of where people will be sitting and learning and under shade from the extremes of the sun. And these beds that you can see surrounding the meeting tree will be what people generally know as sub-pods, but in actual fact, they're now known as cool seats produced by Michael Mobbs of the Sustainable House fame. So here's our meeting tree. It's designed after the daisy, 60 people under the tree, another 80 outside for our shelter, 140 people. This is what we do in a small way at the centre of the community, and this is what we'll be doing in the future with our hub. And again, what we're trying to do is inspire and engage with the widest cross-section of the community that you can possibly imagine. So here we're up the upper balcony, viewing the activities going below, enticing people to not visit for 10 minutes, but to spend half a day here to explore what we've got on offer. Here's one of our exemplars in Broken Hill, the Alma School in South Broken Hill. This school has 100 kitchen garden beds where they grow plants for food and all sorts of wonderful things. This is going to be emulated across Broken Hill. As I say, 60 garden raised beds to engage with all the community. The ecotourism hub is effectively to be the exemplar. So the people who come to Broken Hill can actually learn on site, be inspired is probably the better word, of how you can simply change your life, because it is simple. It's simple messages we have to talk about. We have to talk in languages that we're not normally speak to amongst ourselves as die-hard Landcare people or die-hard environmentalists. We have to talk in ordinary terms, in terms that people can understand. So back to our overview, here's the upper balcony, here's the cafe, here's the display area, and our ramp going down into the hive of activity that's occurring below. Now, I use the word hive deliberately because the pollinators patch is just one of the community science areas within our hub. We do it again in a small way with our workshops and presentations elsewhere now, but in the future, we want to actually tell why pollination is so important. Why, when you're growing plants, you must have bees and insects doing their job. And this is an example of the citizen science approach. It's rather like an environmental fun fair to come and see and be caught up in the wonder of what's going on. So, and another one is the children's garden, hollow trees, hollow logs, real adventure, not a tame garden, a garden where people will really be inspired. These are shots from the Royal Botanic Gardens in Melbourne here, and there are many around the world. They're fantastic. Renewable energy. Every hard surface will have solar panels. We'll have a number of small wind generators, all battery storage, EV charging points, EV vehicles for moving our equipment around and demonstrating that this is the way we should all be moving our transport. In every way, a demonstrator. Composting. The rocket composter will take the clubs and pubs and hotels waste, food waste, as a demonstration of what the council should be doing. This is another way of people to think, well, perhaps we can save more on our home budget by not wasting so much food. And food management, we should all have a worm farm in our homes, and the rocket composter is what we'll be doing in a big way, but the message is to convey that this is what everyone can do. Waterwise management. Yes, every mode of waterwise management will be there. Wicking beds for the garden beds, use of grey water, composting toilet, catching water runoff. Green waste management. Our Landcarer is going to have a major wood chipper, which will by rotation go from street to street and say, look, if you've got some green waste today, don't send it off the local depot. Come out and help us take green waste back to our rocket compost to produce good compost later. Environmental art on display. The art is a fantastic way by which you can demonstrate the messages that you want. So with murals and sculptures and the like, we will fully engage with people who can be inspired by the creativity of others. So here we have another view, looking out on our site to be inspired. Another view on the ground floor, looking towards the meeting tree. And finally, we're going to have lots of satellite little nurseries. We've engaged with Corrections Services New South Wales for our local prison, with the Aboriginal Land Council, Mutawinji National Park, and with the PCY Club, where we'll be setting up traditional Aboriginal food nurseries to work in a cooperative and inspiring manner with our hub. And our associated project is a major 60-hectare seed production area irrigated land at the Broken Hill Racecourse, where we'll be growing our plants to collect seed for our project.
Now,
So the messages.
what would be in conclusion, what would be the takeaway message, Simon? We have last minute, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. The messages are whole of community, language that's meaningful for people outside our room, talk outside the room, talk to the widest community, form partnerships, not with your traditional partners, but with new partners, seek behavioural change, and effectively engage, inspire, and enthuse, because we need as many troops on the ground as possible to make a difference to the environmental issues that we currently face, the issues that face all of us as Landcare members, and to address the challenge of climate change. Thank you very much.
That was fantastic, Simon. Really, thank you all. That's incredible, especially in such an arid environment. If you could please stop sharing your slides now, and we have 5 minutes for questions. So I'm very grateful. Thank you very much for submitting your questions. Now, let me go to the question. So the most popular question was this, and it's from Anonymous. So the question is, how many staff volunteers does this need, and how will you fill all the classes, etc., to make sure it is not vacant? Will it only be open for a few hours on set days? So would you like to answer that?
Currently, Broken Hill Landcare has moved from 0 paid up members at the end of April 2019 to just under 350 volunteers now. That's including partner group volunteers. Our future will depend on staffing. And so the business model of the hub is that we will be selling the plants we propagate and the seeds that we collect to those who are customers. So for the RMS, to the council, to all the public authorities, to the companies, the mining companies, they will buy our products, and that money will then fund our core staffing and our Greening the Hill projects for the community, which will be free. So the model has incorporated in it an essential business plan. And my understanding from our estimate is that we will need a staffing contingent of about 10 people, but with our ever-growing volunteer base, they will be entirely supplemented by very large teams of volunteers in each sector. And again, that's different sectors. Some people will be interested in education. Some are interested in growing plants. Some are interested in energy. So it's courses, horses for courses. That's the aim.
Okay, cool. Thanks very much, Simon. The next question is from Thomas. Where are the good sources of information about conservation psychology? So this is the question. I don't know if you can answer it.
There has actually been a lot of, well, in fact, over the COVID period, there's been lots of interesting seminars about the sociology behind environmental management, and the fact that we will all have read that during COVID, people found that the relief they had was to get out into the open environment or to get into the backyard and grow veggies. And I know the Environment Institute of Australia and New Zealand has had a rolling series of excellent seminars. And if you do a web search, you'll find that all that I'm talking about the psychology, which is inherent in this project, is not rocket science. This is not rocket science. It is not new. We're talking about engaging people to do things which are healthy and exciting and distracting from normal life.
Cool. We have one last minute, so let me see if we can quickly just ask something. Did you include permaculture principles for your design? Just briefly.
Yes, every one of the wicking bed, every one of the community garden beds are wicking beds, and we are endeavouring to demonstrate all the different methodologies by which you can use natural products and natural systems in the propagation of plants. So as far as permaculture is concerned, we will have information boards displaying the different approaches. Every one of our beds is wicking boards. We have vermiculture, and we have partnerships with Australian Vermiculture and Michael Bobs and the like.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, Simon. It was very inspiring, amazing presentation, and I love your approach and what you shared. Thank you very much, and thanks everyone for their questions. Now, I would like to encourage everyone now to go back to the program. Our next session starts in 5 minutes. So yeah, I'll see you soon, and thanks very much, Simon.
Thank you very much.